Hi, I'm Emanuela. In this guide, we will explore step by step how to implement web push notification on Neptune DSP Open Edition. To go about this, the applications and all other artifacts used are all bundled together in a development package available on DXP Marketplace. So let's get started. So, what is web push notification? It is an alert that appears on the device notification panel, whether it's on your personal computer, mobile device, or tablet. It is typically used to send customized real-time messages to inform the user to take certain actions or simply to relay information to the user. So, for instance, you may want to send a notification message to users on your application to inform them about an announcement, approvals, or events of their interest in real time. This is the option to use to achieve that. So, in this guide, we would demonstrate using a queue management system where an admin monitors the queue and notifies users when it is their turn. So to accomplish this, we created two applications, the driver app for joining the queue and receiving notification, and the admin app which generates a QR code that drivers can scan upon arrival, and also it notifies the driver on the queue with a button click. So I'll quickly create this apps as it's not the focus of this guide. Uh, this is the driver's app with the QR code scanner to automatically join the queue by scanning the QR code from the admin app, or also for test purposes, there is a manual join the queue button. The admin app with a table listing drivers on the queue and button to edit, delete, and notify. So to manage the queue data, we have created a table manage facility, and we are making out the API calls for save, fetch, and delete actions using the JavaScript API. So now that the core structure of our apps is set, let's dive into setting up the web push notification. So here, as you can see, is the implementation details. I have divided this into four major steps with sub-steps in each of them. So we'll go over with this step one, which is to set up a server script notification provider using the web push npm module. So here are the steps, sub steps for step one. Let's take step one and two together. First, we download the npm module web push using the npm2 on the kit. Create a server script and then add this web push module you've just downloaded as a resource to the script, and then import it into the script by using a constant web push equal to modules.webpush, or the name that you've imported it as. Step 3, we generate web push FAPID security keys. In order to have this saved, we're going to console.log it and copy it out. This code is meant to run just once. In production, it is recommended that you fetch this as a global variable, but for these demo purposes, we're going to put it here as a variable and pass it into our web push details. So the next step is that we'll configure this web push keys using the public and private keys we generated, and the mail to should be your email address. The next step is to configure details for sending notification to a subscriber. In this case, a subscriber is a browser-based acceptance of a user to receive notification. So we are saving these details for each browser login by the user to avoid fetching it all the time. In our example, it is assumed that the user may have subscribed using multiple devices, and all subscription of a user is sent notification using promise.set to all to send to all the devices or subscription we have on the database. We have also added the table push subscription register as a resource to our script in order to do this. With this push subscription, we send notification using web push.send notification, and the string here you have is the body of the message. So we go over to step 2, register a service worker script. So here are the steps to achieve this. The first one is that we create a service worker script externally with any text editor of your choice and save it as a .js file. The service worker script contains events that run on the background. Once this script has been created, you go over to uploading the script to the media library and then copy the link to the file and paste it here. The code down here basically it makes the service worker script readable to the browser so it could access all the functions there. Alternatively, you can create a variable and return the service worker script as a text, or you paste it into this string. This could also work. So we go ahead to create an API to fetch the service worker script. So we will make use of the endpoint of this API to make reference to the location of our service worker within our system. Next, we go over to our app designer for the driver's app to register our service worker. So we make use of the endpoint of the API for getting the service worker and copy the path to the script also. And with that, we go ahead to console.log some text so we can see if our service worker is registered or not. So as you can see here, we have the service worker registered successfully. So let's go over to the third major step, which is to subscribe to a notification provider using web push subscriber interface. To achieve this, we have the following steps. First, we go ahead to create a server script that returns the notification public key, which we had created earlier. This step is optional. For test purposes, you can supply this public key directly as a variable at the front end. But for this example, we will be fetching it from the server. So I've created a server script that returns this. Next, let's create the server script that saves this subscription to the database. To do this, first we create a table that contains these variables. You can also save it as an object in one field, or you can have all of these fields. In our example, we added the user ID to identify which subscription belongs to whom. Add the table to the script as a resource. In the last part of the script, we are checking if the subscription exists in the database If it does, we discard. If not, we add this new subscription to the table. Then we create an API for this and we utilize it in the driver's app. Over to the next step, we have a function that gets the subscription. In order to get the subscription, we have to supply the public key, which we are fetching from through an API. So we check if the service worker is registered, if there's service worker registration, and then from there we fetch the subscription from the browser. So with this subscription, we save to the database using the service script that we just created. So we go over to console.log this so we can see the result of our subscription if it is successful. To read more about this topic, about the push manager, the service worker registration, the subscription, please visit the MDN website and see a look through this about push API and several other functions that could be called. We go over to the next step to create a function that checks if permission has been granted by the user. So the first thing the browser does for any application with push notification is to ask the user for permission to send notification. If granted, the user receives notification. Else, denied, further actions such as subscribing or installing the service worker is aborted. So let's create a function to check for notification permission from the user. If there is no permission, we provide a button for the user to click and enable notification. With this button, it allows the user to make the decision much later when they feel comfortable. The last action for this step is to call the service worker and function and the get permission function by validating if the browser supports service worker. So that's why we have if service worker is in navigator. Here we are in the final step, which is to trigger the notification with a button click. So this can be achieved in two ways. One, you can try using an API call to fetch the script that triggers the notification to the user with the request information being sent to the back end. The second approach is for you to use Neptune events to trigger the script. For this example, Neptune events are used. So you need to install Redis on your system for this to work. You can also see the documentation for more details on installing Redis and also how to make use of Neptune events. So we go over to the first step, which is to create the listener and trigger event. The listener event is of the type app, while the trigger is of type script. On the admin app, over to the app designer of the admin app, add the trigger event component to the resource, then you select the event that you just created, and on the notify button press send the data as a payload to the trigger event script. Over to the driver app on app designer, you add the listener event component to the resources. Select the listener event which is of type app. And now we are all done with setting up the applications. Well done for the work done. So let's go see the outcome of what we've just built. So go ahead and test. For some reason, the notification do not show on screen record, so I videoed this externally, and this is how it shows on desktop. You can see how it works on mobile. Additional information for installing this application on iOS. So for websites or web apps to receive notification on iOS, they have to appear on home screen of the iPhone. So you have to follow these steps to do that. First, click on this send button. Then you go ahead to scroll down and select the add to home screen. Then move out from the browser. On your home screen, open the app icon that you just installed, and immediately you will see the pop-up to allow notification. Once this is all set, your notification is set to be received on iPhone at any time. I hope this helps. Let us know if you need further information or guide in the comment section on how helpful this is. Thank you for watching. Bye.